I had always seen that picture hanging in our living room, the one of my father in his military uniform, standing tall with a confident smile. Everyone admired that picture. My mother dusted it every morning like it was sacred. My brother and I grew up believing that picture was a symbol of honor, of courage, and of everything that made our father a hero. But I never imagined that behind it lay a secret that would change how I saw my family forever. It started on a rainy afternoon when I was cleaning the walls of our old house. My mother had gone to visit her sister, and my brother was away for work. I thought I'd surprise her by tidying up the place. The picture frame was old and crooked, and I decided to take it down to wipe the dust as I pulled it off the wall. A tiny piece of paper slipped out from the back. It looked ancient. The corners were yellow and folded so many times that the words were barely visible. Curiosity got the best of me. I opened it carefully and read the first line, and my hands began to tremble. It said, "My dearest Anna, if you are reading this, then I have already left this world. But I could not rest without telling you the truth about who I really am." I sat there staring at those words for a long moment, trying to understand what I was reading. My mother's name was Anna, and my father's name was David. Why would there be a hidden letter addressed to her behind his photo? I read on slowly, each word heavier than the last. It continued. "I was not born with the name David Parker. The man you married is not the man you think he is. My real name is Daniel Price, and I have hidden this from everyone for years." I felt my knees weaken. I sat on the floor. The rain outside grew louder, like the sky itself wanted to hear what came next. He wrote, "I once loved another woman. Her name was Grace. We were young and foolish. And when I left for service, she was expecting a child. I never knew what happened after I was deployed. By the time I returned, the town had changed. The records were gone, and I had lost everything, including my name. So I became someone new, someone who could leave the past behind. I thought I could bury it all, but the past always finds a way to be remembered. I couldn't breathe. My father had another life, another love, even a child somewhere out there. It felt unreal, like I was reading someone else's story. I looked at his smiling face in the photo, and for the first time it looked different, like there was a sadness hidden behind those proud eyes. That night I called my mother. I told her I needed to ask something important. She came home immediately worried. I showed her the letter, and her face turned pale. She sat down slowly and said, "I hoped you would never find that." She took a deep breath, and tears welled up in her eyes. She said, "I knew about Grace and the child before I married your father. He told me everything he said. He didn't know if they were alive, and he couldn't live with the guilt. So he changed his name to start over. I promised to keep his secret, so he could have peace." I was shocked. My mother knew all along. She said he never stopped feeling guilty for abandoning his first family. And sometimes at night, he would wake up crying, whispering, "Grace, forgive me." I felt a strange ache in my heart because now, every time I remembered my father, I saw not just the man who raised me, but the man who was running from his past. I couldn't sleep that night. I kept thinking about that child, his first child, my unknown half-sibling somewhere out there. The next morning I decided I needed to know the truth, so I began searching old archives, local records, newspapers, anything that might mention Daniel Price or Grace. The deeper I searched, the more I found a trail of fragments, a missing person notice from 1982, a photo of a young woman who looked like she could be my mother's age at that time, and then I found a clue in an old town paper. It mentioned a woman named Grace Price, who had died in a car accident and left behind a 10-year-old son named Michael. My heart skipped a beat. I searched the name Michael Price and found a social media profile of a man who looked shockingly like my father when he was young. The same eyes, the same jawline. I stared at his picture for minutes, unable to move. I knew deep down that he was the one I had been looking for. I hesitated for days before writing to him. I didn't know what to say. How do you tell someone that the father you grew up with was also their father, that you are family? But from a life he never knew how to explain that. You are the secret child of a man who couldn't face his past. Finally, I sent a simple message. "Hello, I think we might be related." A week later, he replied. He said, "I've been waiting for someone like you for a long time. I think I know who you are because my mother left me a letter before she died. And it mentioned a man named Daniel who promised he would come back for us." When I read those words, I broke down crying. It was like two halves of a broken story had finally met across time and silence. We talked for hours that night about everything about our father, about what it was like growing up without answers. He told me that he had spent years searching for Daniel Price, but every trail ended cold until now. A month later, we met in person. I'll never forget that day he walked toward me in the park, and for a moment it felt like I was looking at a reflection of the man in the photo. He smiled with tears in his eyes and said, "You have his eyes," I said, "and you have his voice." We both laughed through the tears. It felt strange but right, like something that had been missing was finally whole again. When I told my mother about meeting him, she cried. She said, "Your father would have wanted this. He wanted forgiveness more than anything. He used to say every man has two lives. One he lives and one he wishes he could make. Right now we meet every month. My brother, my half-brother, and I. All of us sitting around the same table." The first time we did, my mother looked around and said softly, "Maybe this is what your father wanted all along. Maybe his secret wasn't meant to stay hidden forever. Maybe he was waiting for love to fix what guilt had broken." Sometimes I still look at that picture of my father, but I keep the letter behind it, just as I found it. It reminds me that people are complicated, that love isn't always perfect, and that sometimes secrets aren't meant to hurt. They're just stories waiting to be finished. Every time I see Michael smile, I see my father in both of us, and I realize that the truth didn't break our family, it healed it. We are not defined by what was hidden, but by what we choose to uncover and forgive. And when I walk past that photo now, it no longer feels heavy. It feels alive, like my father is still with us, not as a man who hid from his past, but as a man whose story finally found peace, because two families dared to face the truth together. So if you ever find something hidden behind a photo or inside a drawer, don't be afraid to look. Sometimes what's buried isn't meant to destroy you, it's meant to set you free, because the truth, no matter how painful, can turn a house full of secrets into a home full of healing.